Tonight we're having our required budget hearing before the budget vote on May 17th. I'm going to provide a very brief overview of the budget. It is very similar to my 6-minute budget overview video that I included in my weekend letter to the community, and I will continue to include it. So again, this is a brief overview of the budget. There are 3 propositions that will be voted on May 17th. The first is the budget, the second is the capital reserve fund, and the third is the Pleasantville Middle School HVAC capital bond. So I will speak a little bit about each one of these. Our budget is a $57 million budget. It represents a 7.2% increase from last year's budget. However, it includes some funds that we're moving into the budget in order to be able to pay for some of the capital reserve project of the middle school HVAC. That's what I'm referencing. So again, in highlight, it says it includes a one-time use of fund balance for capital project, which does not impact our tax levy. Without that increase or without that transfer in, it's a 3.6% increase on the budget. However, of importance to note is that our allowable tax cap is 2.11%, and this is what I am terming a very responsible budget for what the district needs, coming in at a 1.72% tax levy increase over last year's budget. Some highlights of what's included in the $57 million is personnel. We have the personnel to sustain our current programs and add in a couple of places, such as boys and girls varsity basketball. We'll get assistant coaches. We'll have permanent subs at BRS and the middle school. And we also have the addition of science FTE in grades 7 through 12. It expands our instructional technology support services. And I say instructional technology because that is a direct impact on our students. We want to be able to make sure that we're utilizing technology in our teaching and learning process that is going to help engagement and also promote the future-ready skills that our students need as they're going to be entering careers that we know undoubtedly will require technology skills. It also strengthens, updates, and expands our technology infrastructure. This will allow us to have more highway to travel on and to travel on faster and safer. So that's our technology infrastructure. It also allocates funds to the middle school HVAC project with no tax impact, and as I had said previously, it is below the tax cap. So that is the budget. The second proposition is the capital reserve fund. This is created essentially so that the district can responsibly save money that we can then determine based on our capital improvement needs where they might need to be allocated. So the important note here is that we have to ask the voters to establish this fund, and then we can put money into it, but then we need to come back to the voters to ask them, based on what we determine that we want to spend the money on, we have to ask the voters' permission via a vote in order to do that. The third proposition is the middle school HVAC capital bond. This will allow our middle school to have a building management system which controls heating, cooling, dehumidification, and ventilation, making the teaching and learning environment not only more comfortable, but more importantly, more safe. We have all learned the importance of air circulation and bringing in an air flow with fresh air coming into the classrooms and the learning spaces and circulating that air around. So that is why we are looking at this project. The funding sources for this project essentially come in 3 buckets. The first bucket is through federal grant money of $1.3 million through the ESSER funds. The district has already applied for and been approved for these funds for this purpose. The second bucket are various funds from money coming from the general fund And the third bucket is through the bond that we're asking our voters to approve, which is a $2 million loan in order to fund this project in its entirety. The most interesting part about this money is that the two buckets of the general fund and the bond are both eligible for 51.6% building aid from New York State Education Department. So basically, this is the way for the State Education Department to incentivize districts to invest in their capital projects by giving us a little bit more than half of the money back in aid. So the aid that we could get back from the two buckets could actually equal the total amount of the bond plus interest, depending upon the interest rate. So once we have the voters' approval on May 17th, hopefully, I should say, we have the voters' approval on May 17th to move forward with the bond, then we can actually submit the project to SED, have it approved as a capital project, and then we can go out for the loan and determine what the interest rate would be and determine actually how much, if any, this would be. The building aid back on these two buckets is about $2.4 million. So essentially, we know we could pay back the $2 million and have excess of $400,000 depending upon what the interest rate is. So it may or may not cover the interest rate depending upon what that might be when we're able to go out for the bond. So the budget vote is on, or the vote, I should say, on these three propositions is on May 17th. We're open from 6:30 in the morning until 9 o'clock at night. It's over at the middle school in the multi-purpose room. And obviously, we encourage all of our community to come out and vote on these three different propositions. Thank you.
Thank you very much.